Dr. Mohammed, how does Iran's insistence on uranium enrichment, as we're speaking, as non-negotiable, right, align with its broader strategy of maintaining leverage in negotiations while at the same time seeking sanctions relief?
In fact, maintaining the right to enrich uranium can be supervised under the IAEA,
Mm-hmm.
and this agency can actually supervise the stages of phasing out the uranium enrichment and the secure stage enrichment in the context agreed upon by Iran and the United States. Iran is trying to leverage some pressure by maintaining a high percentage of enrichment and allowing supervision on the nuclear areas inside Iran. They are relying on these factors to reach some agreement with the United States as pressuring cards to reach a general context based on which they can reach a final agreement. Iran has a real well, a true well, to reach an agreement if the United States shows good intentions with the IEA announcing the supervision of the Iranian the processes of uranium enrichment and reaching safe and secure percentages that can be used according to the international law.
Mhm. Dr. Norhan, in practical terms, how might Iran's reasonable, logical, and balanced counterproposal address the ambiguities it perceives in the U.S. offer?
Iran offers more inspections from IAEA and transparency concerning its program, and to have some kind of step to step. I mean, to have inspection, more transparency, and in return, it's expected to release some of the sanctions from the United States, maybe Europe. But I think the pressures now over Iran, I think it may matter because you know that if we put Iran under Chapter 7, according to a report from under Chapter 7 from the UN, it may face the same fate of Iraq. So that I think it may also be putting into consideration, but up to the date it introduced to keep its right and its capabilities of enrichment, and to have just more inspections and transparency concerning.
But I want to stop here, Dr. Norhan, because I think that Iran is going into these negotiations with a more firm and strong stance than Iraq used to do at the time of Bush. I mean, this threat, I can see that Iran is acting with more power despite the sanctions and despite the threats. What do you think in that concern?
Yes, I'm agree with you, because you know that first of all, Iran is not Iraq. Iraq at that time was totally or nearly
vulnerable country. Yes.
Yes, exactly, and isolated from the Arab countries, from the whole world. But Iran has its allies regionally and as well as internationally, has its own connections, trade. So its economy, yes, facing problems and difficult, but still strong. Its regime, although all what we are saying, administrations, etc., but still also, I think they have powerful enough to stand against Washington. So the situation is totally different concerning Iran, comparing that
to Iraq. Yes, Dr. Mohammed, given Netanyahu's repeated military threats, how much influence is Israel exerting over U.S. negotiation strategy? And could this pressure lead to a harder American stance? Could Netanyahu actually pressure Netanyahu to go into war against Tehran?
In fact, the war matter is extremely unlikely for different reasons. Trump does not want to get into war with Iran, and that's why he's seeking to reach an agreement.
Mhm. I believe I lost contact with Dr. Mohammed, so I go back to you again, Dr. Nurhan. How does Washington justify its what it calls red line on uranium enrichment while reportedly offering temporary concessions?
This is a double standard of United States. We use it in many other situations, and you know that United States doesn't want Iran or any other country which is not affiliated to the United States from having a nuclear technology, enabling it to produce nuclear weapons. And actually, United States didn't share nuclear technology except with Britain in 50s, and lately when it introduces the nuclear submarines to Australia a few years ago. So it is also trying to limit such a spread of nuclear technology in general. So I think United States and Trump, I will talk about Trump, he's in a little bit a dilemma, and other institutions disagree with him and with what he is doing with Iran, maybe close to Netanyahu in his thinking about Iran. So I think he needs to reach a deal, a good deal with Iran, but the good deal for the United States will not be the same for Iran for sure.
Yes, but I want to elaborate here, Dr. Nurhan, because the uranium enrichment impasse continues to dominate the negotiations. Iran calls it non-negotiable, and the United States deeming it as red line. Is there any viable middle ground that could actually break the deadlock?
This is what they are talking about, the regional center for enrichment of uranium. But I doubt that Iran will accept that also, because where will be that regional center? The state will host the regional center, will be dominant, of course. Even it is not the one who is running the center, but at least it hosts the center. Yes. Maybe if they agree that that regional center will be in Iran, running by United States or other countries, maybe at that time Iran maybe accept such a solution. Yes. But I doubt that they will do such thing.